Hello and welcome to my 5k Q&A. I know a lot of you have wanted me to do a Q&A for quite a while, so when I hit 5,000 subscribers I thought it'd be a good excuse to do one. And with over 50 questions, I'll try to get through as many of them as I can, so without further ado, let's get into it. So the first question is, when do I find the time to create and record my videos? Do I have a day job or am I full-time playing? Well, I'm at uni at the moment and approaching my final year, so in terms of time to edit and record videos, not a lot actually, but that will improve over summer. And in terms of a job, yes, I do actually have a part-time job, just to fund my theme park trips, I suppose. So the next question is, how do I not get bored or burnt out when I create a theme park? Well, the answer is I do. The best advice I can give for this is just to take breaks from the work. Sometimes when I was creating Wonderworld, there'd be certain parts of it that I did get bored or burnt out at and even frustrated over. But then I think the best thing to do is to take a step back from the park, take a step back from the work, or just move on to something else for a bit, and then, I don't know, the creativity almost comes back to it in a way. It probably helps if you do something that inspires you as well, like maybe visit a theme park. That's a lot what helped me. Like when I went to Alton Towers and Thorpe Park just this week, I've got a lot of inspiration for my next park series that I've already started to work on, so that helps me quite a lot of the time too. This next question is about how many hours go into recording an episode. Say for Wonderworld, because I was doing it week by week, I'd normally get each episode done in about a week in advance, so it'd probably take me about a week to build, record and then edit that entire episode. But with the next park series, what I want to do is kind of record most of it in advance so I can get to a point where I'm not getting stressed out and trying to rush certain elements of the park to get it finished in time. The next question is, how do I build so confidently in Planco? And the answer is the same as the last one, I suppose. I don't really. I just kind of build what I think works, and then sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it will just never see YouTube. Like, I only really put out the versions of the creations that I'm 100% happy with. Like the new park I'm building at the moment, the first coaster I think has had about 6 or 7 different versions that I've just straight up deleted. So when you see that first coaster building episode, you will only see the finished coaster basically. So I suppose the best answer I can give is just lots and lots of practice. This next park, is it the 6th series I've done? So yeah, it just takes a lot of practice basically. The next question is, what was your biggest hurdle or struggle of account growth? I'd probably say trying to make the content different from everyone else's. Obviously there's quite a few Planet Coaster YouTubers, some very, very good ones, and as much as I was inspired by them to start the channel, I knew from the start at least that I wanted to be different, because I just thought, what's the point in doing the same thing as everyone else? I wanted to try and make my content as original and unique as possible, so quite a lot of my park series I thought like I can create different rides, different themed areas to what most people are doing, and that's basically just the biggest struggle I had, I suppose, trying to make my channel stand out from the rest. What UK or worldwide investments are you most excited for and why? I would have to say UK, probably everything that Merlin's doing at the moment with, let me think what they've got. They've got Nemesis, Subterra, Curse at the Manor, Exodus, Ghost Train, Mandrill Mayhem. There's so much that Merlin are doing for the UK at the moment. There's obviously a lot of the UK parks are expanding as well. But I'd say in terms of worldwide, you know me, Intamins, I'm very excited about those. The Batman coaster coming to Park Warner Madrid, and Tutatis coming to Park Asterix. Very excited for those two. And there's just so many other big projects that are going on at the moment. Like the Uncharted coaster coming to Portaventura, or Voltron coming to Europa Park. There's just so much going on this year and next year in terms of coaster investment in the whole world, so it's a very exciting time to be an enthusiast, definitely. So the next question is, what gives me motivation to finish parks on Planet Coaster? I'd say it's probably an even mix of seeing everyone else's work. There's a lot of amazing creators that definitely inspire me, and going to real life theme parks to see what they're doing. Like my most recent trip to Alton Towers and Thorpe Park, they've definitely given me a lot of inspiration for my next park in terms of, well, especially at Alton Towers, just in terms of how immersive some of the themed areas are, especially Wicker Man, like how the queue line interacts with the ride and the pre-show and everything. So a lot of stuff like that kind of gives me the motivation to finish a project to, I suppose, a high standard in terms of like creating a themed immersive area, like an area or a theme or like an item of the roller coaster, something that makes, I don't know, the people that are experiencing it feel something and get excited. I suppose that's probably what motivates me. So the next lot of questions are, what kind of got me into roller coasters? Like what specific ride or what specific moment? I'd say it was probably a mix of, there was quite a lot of parks that I went to from a young age. My parents were very keen on like getting me on bigger rides from a young age, so I wouldn't be scared. So I'm very thankful, very thankful for that. And there was quite a few parks I went to when I was younger. Alton Towers was one that I went to lots, and then a couple of trips to other parks, especially I did all of the Florida parks in 2013. I think that probably got quite a big interest, I suppose, initially for me to like roller coasters and stuff, and then gradually I just started going to more parks, enjoying more rides, and then eventually discovered Planet Coaster existed, and then I started it when it got brought to console, and obviously now I'm on PC, and I'd say my interest is still just constantly increasing, I suppose. Especially because there's always something going on in this industry, always something that's like some new ride, something that's new and exciting, a new concept, a new idea. So I think that's probably what keeps my interest in it, that it's always evolving and always getting more exciting. Next question is Jan says next trip together when? For those of you who don't know me, and Jan went to Alton Towers this week, and Big Bob was very wet. It was absolutely pouring it down. So as you don't know, it is the big statue effigy thing outside Wicker Man. He's called Big Bob. So definitely we need to do another trip sometime soon. It was really, really fun. The next question is, how do I decide what theme I want to go for before starting a park? Mostly just whatever's kind of inspiring me at the time. Like with Wonderworld, it was kind of a nice mix of kind of what Alton Towers offers, like a small park in like the forest and the woodland in the UK. That was kind of what inspired that. And then in terms of the individual rides, it's kind of the same, just whatever's inspiring me at the time. Like I started to build the Mac Big Dipper Pandora just because I became really obsessed with Voltron at Europa Park, just how they're making that and kind of the theme they're going for behind it, and how it's kind of almost like a Gerstlauer Eurofighter but a little bit different. Like some of the transitions and elements are a little bit quirky, like Mac's own kind of take on that. So I just kind of went into a rabbit hole about being inspired by that one thing, and then that was what made that coaster. It's kind of the same with themes. I just pops into my head and I just kind of go from there. If you could say one thing to every one of your fans, what would you say? Just thank you, really. It's incredible that the channel's managed to get this far, but that's all because of you lot. Like from when I posted my first, I think it was the first video I did of an Intamin Blitz coaster, when that hit 50 views, I was ecstatic. But now, like, it's insane how much further the channel's come. If I could like go back in time and show myself the channel what it is now, then I just wouldn't be able to believe it, really. And I can't wait to see how much further we can take it. So yeah, thank you. Just, yeah, thank you so much. Will I ever do a no DLC, no mods, or no TMTK park? I would definitely like to do one at some point. I feel like a no TMTK park, no DLC park would be quite good and work well for a mini park series potentially at some point. So that could definitely be something I'd like to do. What are my top bucket list coasters and what are my top bucket list coasters in America? I'd say my top realistic Europe bucket list coasters would probably be Tutatis, the Batman coaster at Part 1 of Madrid, Ride to Happiness, Conda, Expedition G-Force, Voltron, quite a lot of coasters like that. And in terms of US coasters, it would probably have to be some of the classics like X2, El Toro, Millennium Force, Maverick, Steel Vengeance, Fury 325, Intimidator 305. Yeah, there's just so many coasters that I want to do. Just, yeah, all of them. In terms of the first coaster I ever rode, I don't really remember the first one, but the first thrill coaster I ever rode was, well, it was either G-Force, which is a Mara X car that used to be at Drayton Manor, which would have been my first inverting coaster as well. Or it would have been the Ultimate, which was a British Rail manufactured coaster at Lightwater Valley. So both coasters that are not with us anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, those are probably the coasters that originally got me used to thrill coasters. So probably, yeah, those two I'd say. What is my honest opinion at Rita at Alton Towers? Now, if you would have asked me this before my trip that I've had this week, I would say that I pretty much despise the ride. I think the layout is very mid. It's very rough, the restraints aren't great, and it doesn't, theming wise, fit into Dark Forest as anywhere near as good as 13 does. But after riding it this week, I was genuinely shocked about, I don't know what they've done to it over the winter season, but it was very smooth, which is very weird. So I actually liked my ride on just one ride on Rita this season. So at the moment I like it, but then next time I go back it could be really rough, so you never know. Have I ever been to Six Flags Over Texas, and do I ever plan to recreate a coaster there? I don't really do coaster recreations, it's not really my thing, but I would love to go to Six Flags Over Texas. Same with all the Six Flags parks and most of the America parks that I haven't been to, so I would definitely love to go to one of those. What is my favourite theme park you have ever been to, and why? I don't know whether I could pick one. The top parks that I've been to are Islands of Adventure, the Universal one in Florida, Fantasialand. Yeah, actually, yeah, it'd be between those two. I don't know whether I could pick between them though, because they are so different, yeah, so between those two. And in terms of why, I just think they're both very unique in their own way. They've both got the most stacked lineups out of parks that you can get. And theming is something I think is very important when it comes to rides, especially roller coasters. So yeah, those are the reasons why Islands of Adventure and Fantasialand are my favourite parks. Why did I not name Wonderworld's Mac Big Dipper inspired by Voltron? Because it's bad. I'm sorry. The name's just, yeah. Pandora's better. Although I respect the funny, but yeah. Get Voltron gone. Do I prefer the look of Steel Vengeance or Hakuge? I would say that I know more about Steel Vengeance than I do Hakuge, but they both do look really, really good. I'd say I'm most likely to go on Steel Vengeance realistically, just because of what else is in that park, and America's obviously easier to get to than like Japan, so I'd say probably Steel Vengeance, but then again, yeah, it's because I don't really know enough about Hakuge, even though from the little I do know about it, it does look really good. What are my future career plans or dream job? Dream job would definitely be roller coaster designer, like working for someone like Intamin, Mac, B&M, I don't know, anyone. Just if anyone's designing roller coasters and needs someone, then let me know. But in terms of my actual career, I'm doing architecture at uni, so hopefully to become an architect. What do you want added in Planet Coaster 2? Now, I could go on for hours about the many features that I want in Planet Coaster 2. There are literally hundreds. I've made a big list. I do plan to make my own take on a video of like what I want out of Planet Coaster 2 at some point. Like, there's so many new types of coasters that have come into the world, so many game features, just improvements to certain aspects of the game. There is so much, but I will definitely make a video of this at some point. But probably my top list would be a better pathing system, a better running game in terms of optimization, and more creative ride elements, you know, like drop tracks and easy to do multi-pass launches and switch tracks and stuff. Just the little things that would make your coasters just that much better, a little bit like No Limits, that more creative freedom, I'd say. What is my favourite flat ride and what is my favourite dark ride? Now, in terms of dark rides, I've not really been on that many, but just for the pure nostalgia of it, of what it means to me, I suppose, as a local enthusiast to the park, the Curse at the Manor at Alton Towers is, for me, just absolutely perfect. I love it. Down to all the little Easter eggs and everything, it's just perfect. But in terms of like a worldwide one, I guess, all the ones at Florida are quite good. The Gringotts Bank one, is it Islands of Adventure or Universal Studios, whichever one that one is, that one's also really good too. And in terms of a favourite flat ride, I don't actually like flat rides too much. Normally when I go to a theme park, they are my least priority. But I suppose the only standout for me, like flat ride that I have ridden, I think I've rode it 5 times in my trip, I just loved it that much, is Mystery Castle at Fantasialand. A perfect themed experience, because you don't normally get that with flat rides, like a themed experience, but that ride is just perfect in every way. I absolutely love it. What made you get into Planet Coaster? Mainly just watching other YouTubers, like that's how I found out the game existed, like Moomin, Nerdchacho, Channel 5 Gaming are mainly the ones that got me into the game originally, but then once I found out the game kind of existed and that all the things you could create in the game, that was when I don't know, my brain just kind of ticked. I was like, yes, this is definitely what I want to do. So yeah, that was how I got into the game. What is your least favourite ride and would you put it in your next park? My least favourite rides would either be a Vekoma SLC or a Zamperla Valet, and I would definitely not put either of those in my parks. I like to be creative with the layouts and have, I don't know, enjoyable coasters, I suppose. So no, I wouldn't put those in my parks, sorry. Would you ever vlog outside the UK? I have. I've got my whole vlog series that I did when I went to Florida last year. I've got my Fantasialand vlogs, my Energylandia vlogs, and hopefully more to come in the future, so yes. What made you start making videos? Well, I think it was probably other YouTubers, like I mentioned earlier. They kind of inspired me to create the kind of coasters that they were creating. I thought if they can do it on YouTube, then why did I ever give it a go? There's no harm in trying. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it does, then great. So I just uploaded my first coaster, which was a Intamin Blitz, obviously, because it's me. And I remember when that got hit like 50 views, I was like, oh, that was pretty good. So I just started uploading more, and here we are today, 5 park series later, 6 more on the way, and yeah, couldn't be happier. How many languages do you speak, and is it more than just English? It's not, no, sorry. I only speak English. It would probably be quite cool to learn another language. I know it's a lot of effort, but it's definitely worth it, especially if I'm going to like a lot of German parks in the future, or French parks, so learning French could be quite cool. So yes, I don't speak any other languages other than English, but I'd definitely like to. Smiler or Saw? Now, I've been on both this week, and I have to say, Saw was riding unbelievably bad. It was so rough. Definitely had a headache the second I got off it. The first indoor half was fine, then the second you get outside you reach the bottom of the drop. Most of it is just like jackhammering, headbanging. It's awful. It's so rough this season. I know it was rough last season, but this season's even worse, unfortunately. I do hope they can fix it, but the Smiler, I know some people say it's find it rough. I don't think it's rough, it's just a little bit intense. So, and plus I love the Smiler anyway, so I'm going to have to say the Smiler. I do actually prefer the Smiler's idea for a theme, even though Saw is a better themed coaster. Like, if they'd have done more theming on the Smiler, then that would have made it even better, but the Smiler's layout is just unbeatable compared to Saw, so Smiler it is for me. Do you plan out your parks or individual areas before you build them, or as you go? Definitely before I build them. I do a lot of sketching of the layouts of not only the rides but the areas as well, especially a lot with Wonderworld. It doesn't always end up like the actual sketch, like the final product is normally quite a lot different, but I sketched out, especially the Pandora, the Mack Big Dipper coaster, I sketched out like maybe 6 or 7 different versions of that layout. I knew what the theme was, I knew where different parts were going to go, and then still it ended up changing with the final design, so a bit of both really. What is my favourite coaster that I've ever built? Now, for me this is a bit of a trick question, because I think my favourite coaster that I've ever built you haven't seen yet. It's probably going to be one of the ones from my new park. I've made quite a few of the layouts already, especially this coaster. I'm probably on about my 6th or 7th version of it, like after just being fed up with it, deleting it, trying again, but they're mostly the same. But yeah, probably that one, but obviously I can't say that one yet, so coasters that you've seen that I've built would probably be Pandora or the Mack Big Dipper. I've just really had a fun time making that coaster, so that's probably why it's my favourite one I've ever made. How do you get confident enough to build roller coasters in Planet Coaster without the angle snap turned on? Well, I think the best thing to do is just to try it without. I know it can be quite difficult. Using the angle snap's definitely not a bad thing. Like when you're building successive airtime hills one after each other, having the angle snap on to find 0 can actually be quite good. And sometimes I do use the angle snap in certain parts. And then obviously you'll turn the angle snap off to then go back and smooth it. But it's not a bad thing that you use it. It just takes practice to learn how to not use it. The more coasters you make, the more mistakes you'll make, which is always a good thing to learn from them. And then eventually you'll just kind of get confident enough with the building system of coasters in the game to just know how your brain works and how you make coasters and what works and what doesn't. Eventually you'll just get good with it, I suppose. But yeah, just practice and you will get there. How do you manage to finish coasters? I always struggle with them. Again, same as the last question really, it's just practice. Like there is so many coasters I've made that I've just never seen YouTube because I just thought they were terrible. It just takes a lot of time to perfect how your building style works and to make it realistic. Like, I'd say pretty much every coaster that you've seen on YouTube, there's going to be 2 or 3 crap versions of it that I've just never shown you. Especially if you've seen the wooden coaster episode of Wonderworld. The amount of times I designed that coaster and then just completely scrapped it, so definitely practice again. Practice will definitely make you a better creator and eventually build better coasters. If you were to go back and save any coaster in the entire world from being demolished, what would it be? I would probably, quite a few actually. There's the Wild Mouse at Blackpool that you will know I absolutely love if you've seen the Wonderworld Park series. That should have never been destroyed, it should have been altered to make it better because that park desperately needs a decent family coaster. And I think that that would have been the perfect one for it, I suppose. And the Ultimate at Lightwater Valley, I know it's not the park's kind of thing anymore to have big thrilling coasters, but that coaster, just like what it meant for the whole kind of UK coaster history scene in general, I think that should have definitely been saved. And Dueling Dragons at Universal as well. I was gutted when I heard that they were going to get demolished, and I understand why they removed them. There's a much better ride there now, but I'd still think that they could have done something, I don't know, better with them, or at least another park bought them. So yeah, there's so many rides that should have been saved. It's such a shame that some of them have been removed. And then the last bunch of questions, which is what is my favourite coasters, like top 10, so I will go through them. So my top 10 coasters are: in first place, Zadra at Energylandia in Poland; in second place, Velocicoaster at Universal Islands of Adventure; third place is Taron at Phantasialand; fourth place is Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens Tampa; fifth is the Incredible Hulk at Islands of Adventure; sixth is Hyperion at Energylandia; seventh is Nemesis at Alton Towers; eighth is Black Mamba at Phantasialand; ninth is the Smiler at Alton Towers; and 10th is Sheikra at Busch Gardens Tampa. And hopefully with the many other trips that I'd like to do this year and next year, maybe that'll change. I really do hope it does, because any coaster that you go on that makes you top 10 is always definitely worth the trip. And that's the Q&A. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for getting me to 5k again. I know I keep saying it, but I'm so appreciative that we've managed to get the channel this far. Thank you for all the amazing questions. I'll definitely do one of these again at some point because they're really fun to do. And yeah, that's it. I will see you next week's video.